Now this is the way to tailgate on the terrace. Set the living room up on the lawn outside Mellon Arena and prop your feet up for game 2. But we sort of like it better inside the building for this Eastern Conference final, exclusively on Versus, all the sights and sounds available to you in high definition. Pittsburgh and Carolina squaring off after a 2-day hiatus. This series rolls right along. Referees tonight are Mark Joannette and Kevin Pollock. The linesmen are Brad Lazarowich and Jay Sharers. And it is a whiteout inside of Mellon Arena. Better than 17,000 in the stands, all in those white t-shirts, supporting the guys in the black jerseys. High slot Whitney, back for Joni Pitkanen. His wrister on the way that was blocked. Captured by Seidenberg, he sent it to the front. And Fleury makes the early stick save. Jordan Staal for Pittsburgh. On the interchange there, Kennedy loads it up. He took too much time as it was blocked by LaRose. Jordan Staal hooks one back to point position. Sergei Gonchar will have to retreat.
Exact same matchup to start the game we saw in game number 1 with the Staal brothers mano-a-mano. And a difference on the dots so far in the series for Jordan and his brother Eric. Eric has dominated that category.
And if you ask enough of them, they say it's consistency that's the hallmark of Cam Ward's game. Rod Brindamore working in concert with Jussi Jokinen and Scott Walker tonight. For head coach Paul Maurice, there have been some adjustments. Bang, bang, play! And it was Fleury flashing out a pad on Walker. Brindamore to the goal mouth. That was spoiled by the netminder. And away come the Penguins looking to counterattack. Bill Guerin with a wrister. Jabbed aside by Cam Ward. High in the air to the waiting Walker. He didn't get it out. This way for Jussi Jokinen. He didn't get it clear. Crosby on the pivot. He was buried there by Jokinen. Kunitz looking to stop. Backside. Score! Sidney Crosby!
This is almost a carbon copy of the play that got thwarted at the other end. They cash in down here. Just rotated behind the net. Slick play by Kunitz. It's that quick play from behind the net. Poor positioning defensively, and no answer from Cam Ward on Sidney Crosby. Here's the play at the other end. Same idea. Walker can't thrust it past that right pad. Another early supreme effort from Fleury in the pipes for the Penguins, and it turns into that at the other end. What a turn of events.
And Penguins fans come to life just under 2 minutes into the opening period.
A lot of people talking about whether Crosby had a good game 1 or not, just because he didn't score a goal, which has become a bit of an oddity when he doesn't. But I thought he was strong to very strong and could have ended up with a 4 or 5 assists in the game if other people had cashed in.
Dan Bilesma, his head coach, wanted to put that to rest earlier in the day, saying that Crosby was involved with 8 or so scoring chances as Fedotenko maneuvers in. Talbot back to point position. Long wrister coming from Brooks Orpik. It was deflected down and wide. Just getting going in game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final, and Carolina finds itself trailing by 1 on enemy ice. Sidney Crosby on the primary assist from Chris Kunitz.
All 3 forwards were instrumental in that one, Joe. The realization they could funnel it in behind, make that quick play, catch the Canes with some poor coverage in front of the net.
Bill Guerin did pick up an assist on the Crosby marker as Marc-Andre Fleury will hold on. Jordan Staal beat his brother Eric on the face-off there. As Eric Staal turns a corner, swivels one to the front, stopped by Fleury. Rebound, score! Chad LaRose, hungry in the paint.
This was quite a stuff play. Again, things are happening rapidly from the edge of the rink to the net. All these chances coming off of plays. Here's the rim around. Watch this. LaRose starts it. They get them chasing a little bit. There's the funnel toward the net. Fleury can't handle that. And it's the late guy to the party off the back door from our McDonald's goal cam. Watch to the left-hand side. Bang, there's the shove. Fleury couldn't find the pill. Good look from up top. And Hal Gill just got beat to a loose puck. I really like LaRose. He plays every game as if it's going to be his last. and he's getting a golden opportunity to play on their top line here this evening.
27-year-old Michigan native Darryl gets on the board at the 3:07 mark. So Pittsburgh's early lead is very short-lived.
Assisted by number 12, Eric
Carolina in the visiting white with Sergei Samsonov finding Eric Cole. Cole making a dash down the wing. Eaton angled into the boards. Samsonov looking to the high slot that'll deflect away from Matt Cullen and force Carolina to regroup.
Good defensive play there. One thing that the Penguins want to be conscious of is that interchange between their high forward and their defenseman. That's the Canes high forward and their defenseman, and mixing up their coverage.
Collision in open ice. And Seidenberg is often around those collisions.
Usually it's the ones that the player just absorbs that doesn't end up being a dangerous one. This was another knee on knee as Seidenberg, the defenseman, and Adams, the forward, got clacked right at center ice on the Penguin logo. That was a topic of discussion for a couple of days around here after the Eric Cole, Matt Cook hit.
Chris Letang taking over for Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby straight away for Kunitz and just off of his blade. Gleason finds the open man at center. That's Walker. As he works wide, the backtracking Kunitz forced the takeaway. Rod Brind'Amour will pounce on it out of the corner. Walker avoiding Crosby. Sidney Crosby strong on his stick. Didn't get it out. Walker was hammered by Orpik, one of the NHL's hit leaders during the regular season and postseason.
That's one way to punch it out. Crosby was having trouble. Just came up and ran the pile.
An icing call against Carolina. They're out shooting Pittsburgh in the early going, 5-2. Evgeny Malkin's line out there for Pittsburgh. Malkin teaming up with Fedotenko and Talbot. Cam Ward will leave the comforts of the crease to settle it. And this will be a control breakout for Tim Gleason. Eric Stahl picked up an assist on the LaRose marker along with Valin. Through center. Whitney working wide to the front, just chipped high as Eric Stahl was driving to the post. According to the coaching staff for the Pens, he was involved in 10 of them. Valin tried to brush it along the boards and hit the linesman. Jordan Stahl says thanks. 3-on-3 the other way. Crisscrossing with Kennedy. Then Cook for a wrister, and that's routine for Cam Ward. Eric Stahl driving his way back through center. Jordan Stahl nearby. Kennedy lunging in. Left it to the trailer. It trickles to the doorstep, and Ward will clamp onto him.
I suspect we'll get a little more of this, too. The trots to the front of the net, try to hang around, disrupt the vision of the netminders.
Ward given some time to adjust his gear. He's ready to go. Penguins control the draw. Gonchar lets it fly, and Ward left his skates to get up in the air and trap that.
And more of this in the aftermath. He's very good at that, Cam Ward, at trapping pucks, controlling your destiny, they call it. Make sure you're not offering second and third opportunities.
What's the key for a goalie to absorb shots like that?
Watch it all the way onto the body. That's why they always talk about getting traffic in front, because if a goalie can't see a puck, it's tough for him to control where it's going to go after he makes the save.
Sergei Gonchar seeing his games played minutes total climb. A good sign that he is healthier after his Game 4 injury in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. We are 6 minutes in to an eventful first period at Mellon Arena tonight. Carolina goal from Chad LaRose. Pittsburgh goal from Sidney Crosby, and we're 1-1. Samsonov threw it to a vacant wing. You watch him go right to the corner with Gonchar. This one leaks to the doorstep, and Craig Adams, the former Hurricane, was on patrol. Now Miro Shatan force-feeding Crosby. Gleason was practically in his hip pocket. Sergei Gonchar retreats. Eaves traps it along the boards. The Penguin captain is there, 87 in the black, to flutter it ahead. Gonchar, hearing the bench calling for the line change, will send it in. Seidenberg pounding against Jordan Stahl. The reverse for Pitkanen. On target to Ryan Beta. As we see Patrick Dwyer out there, 39 in the white, coming on for the Alex Cuomo Route 2.
pretty brisk little trio that he can trot out of the 4-hole. Paul Maurice. It'll be interesting to see how much they play in this game tonight.
Offside against the Penguins. If those reports are true, it will be great news for the Fletcher family.
That's a real feather in the cap of the Penguins, too, when you're moving people along like that.
And what a fine organization and atmosphere and environment in St. Paul with which to work.
Ray Sherrill, their general manager, must feel he's got the Midas touch right now, because literally everything that he has done to augment this team has worked out. Trades, coaching changes, you name it.
Hal Gill blistering one in from center. No troubles for Cam Ward. A couple of early goals in the game's first 4 minutes. And we are locked up in a 1-1 tie. Chad LaRose and Sidney Crosby have struck. Scuderi swats it into the corner. A good battle there involving Caberlet and Cook. Ditto along the wall for Whitney and Kennedy.
This whole game is along the boards. Manly.
Cook fires. That was blocked by Valine. Valine comes over to cancel Cook. Kennedy creeping out for the stop. Rebound score! Evgeny Malkin!
This is a nightmare scenario for a defending team. Evgeny Malkin comes off the bench. You can see him up top, left-hand corner, comes off the bench. Serpentine works his way to the front of the net, and he gets a second offering on a cramp. There's the exchange, Stahl going off, Malkin coming on, nose for the net, round. Is he hot right now or what? And it's so difficult for defenders. There's his mom. The guys who are scoring are doing it on a nightly basis in this series. I was going to say, though, Joe, the tough thing for defenders in that scenario is it's difficult to have their head on a swivel. They get staring at the puck down low. You forget about the guy coming late. He's an extra guy. You're already worried about the two defensemen, and he's uncovered.
Malkin, as you mentioned, hot. He's got 4 straight multi-point games going. Walker sends that one to the gut of Fleury. Carolina looking to respond again. Jussi Jokinen, he scores! Last shot wins it, apparently, tonight.
Well, it's the same thing, Joe. What an answer. You know, bang, bang, twice now the Canes have answered some bad in their end with some very good at the other end. And again, it's simplistic hockey. Just take pucks to the net, go there yourself, and this is a juicy second offering. Fleury down early, the puck comes to him. I don't know why he repurposed that one, but a corpulent rebound off of his stick right out to an uncovered Jussi Jokinen, who on his backhand crammed that home.
A corpulent rebound. Pudgy, portly, all the above.
Throw them all in. Just shouldn't happen.
A rocky start at both ends. 2-2. Those two tallies were separated by 25 seconds. The first 2 goals of the game by 1 minute and 16 seconds. For bookkeeping's sake, Malkin from Kennedy and Cook, Jokinen from Walker and Brindamore. And you're all caught up. 9 minutes gone by in the opening period. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final exclusively on Versus. From Mellon Arena in Pittsburgh, along with Darrell Ray and Chris Simpson, I'm Joe Beninati. Buckle up, apparently, for a wild one tonight. Chris Kunitz, who wouldn't mind seeing the red light go on behind Cam Ward for himself tonight, as Joe Corvo, who struck in Game 1, accelerates out of his own zone. Corvo hoisted ahead, knocked down by Letang. Crosby serves it to Kunitz, and then he gave it right to a waiting Corvo. Dan Bylsma will change him up on the fly. 6'7" Hal Gill right into your picture. Scuderi going indirectly off the boards. Shatan, very clever stick handler. Maxime Talbot there, finished off by Caberlet. Greg Adams around the pick, turns one to the front, that was blocked. Scuderi scales it into the corner. Valine looking to crunch on Talbot, and he does. Just more than halfway through this high-scoring first period. Deadlocked at 2. LaRose in a duel there with Craig Adams. It bounces back onto the Carolina side of the table. German-born Dennis Seidenberg off for Joni Pitkanen, who hails from Finland. It's fun to watch this guy when he's got the puck, and even when he doesn't, he's always in motion. Brind'Amour, arm in arm with Boucher to the glass, even in full strength by the side. Boucher, who had the game winner in game one on the power play, sends it on around. Hurricanes have that side of the rink flooded. Boucher tries the other, and he will get it out.
Both teams are out to challenge the decor and the defensive coverage off the cycle. And that's where a lot of these opportunities and most of the goal scoring in the opening half of this first period have come.
Sergei Gonchar will take the handoff from Marc-Andre Fleury. Paul Maurice will change him up on the fly for Carolina. Pittsburgh has a 1-0 series lead off of their Monday triumph in this building. Orpik on the headman. Malkin almost split the D. Gleason thunders into him. Corvo stepping after Letang for the NHL's point-scoring leader during the regular season. Malkin didn't find it at his feet. Corvo sidestepping one forechecker. Makes a smart-looking clearing pass to Eric Cole. Down the dasher. Cross-ring Samsonov. By Fleury as he windmilled it again over top. Samsonov very elusive out of the corner. To the point for Pitkanen. Kept on the perimeter. Samsonov once more. Hounded there by Letang. Bad clear. Seidenberg. Score! 3-2 Carolina.
Puck security. You get hurried a little bit and turn it back over, and bad things happen. Chris Letang grabs it along the boards, throws it right into the middle. He may have been trying to get it to a teammate. I think it was Fedotenko coming through. Lots of humanity in front of the net. A knuckling puck that goes in and drifts by. Cullen was the guy who disrupted the vision of Fleury more than anyone else. But a mortal blast from 55 feet has silenced this crowd here.
My word, Daryl, that end zone look that we showed, it is baseball season after all. That one was a screwball. A Scroogey into the corner, and Marc-Andre Fleury did not have a chance. 12-10 the time of it.
They are perforating these goalies here in the first period, and there's lots of period left.
So it takes 12 minutes and change to equal the output of game one. Eric Stahl with a wrister that was blunted by Hal Gill. Corvo bluffs the slapper and gets pinned to the boards by Kunitz. On top for Valin. Pressure coming from Bill Guerin, and Guerin makes a break for it. Guerin, wrister, stick save Ward with plenty of traffic in front.
There's that drive, middle drive from Kunitz that time. Draws a defender, trying to disrupt Ward.
Trying to make life more and more uncomfortable for these netminders who are already under siege. As we approach 7 minutes to go in this opening stanza, game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. Gleason with his head up looking to create. Launches one high over Hal Gill. Walker right in there on a timing play. And we hear a whistle. Tyler Kennedy back behind the cage, stopping and starting. Looking to elude Gleason as we continue 5-on-5. Kennedy on the hesitation. Sharp angle. Ward makes the pad save. A feed to the front for Jordan Stahl that did not connect.
It might be 10-10 right now if they turn the nets around and face the end boards, because that's where the game's being played.
And let him go as Walker floats this one into the corner. Brind'Amour up close and personal for you on Versus. On around for Cook, fencing there with Walker, and it dribbles back to neutral ice. Bill, Keith, and Ryan at Hockey Central on Versus. Getting set for their intermission report, our United States Marine Corps intermission report.
Dan Belsma wants things to settle down a little bit. He felt they didn't play as smart as they can in game one. That old refrain about knowing your enemy and executing the game plan. And don't take your boot off their neck once you get them down. They had them down by a couple of goals, and they came back. They failed to gain a 2-goal advantage here. It's been punch, counterpunch.
I thought it was interesting what Bylsma said about Carolina being one of the best teams with respect to knowing its game and knowing what they need to do to win. He gave them a lot of praise. Carolina did turn the tempo of that game one more to their favor, I thought, as the game progressed. Malkin can play the game at any pace right about now. Point drive from Orpik and a kick-out save from Ward. He was screened. The counterattack for the speedy Cole. Arm in arm with Brooks Orpik, and they go heavily to the wall. Something they've done a time or two in this building in the past.
That was quite a battle. Orpik gave him a little tap on the tail end.
Gonchar sends it wide. A sizzler there. Fleet-footed Matt Cullen sends it ahead. LaRose lost it there in a battle with Pal Gill in the long reach.
And it is fast break, though, isn't it? I mean, there's a chance at one end, depending on what happens, they can gobble up 50 feet, 70 feet of the rink with one pass, and then lots of foot speed going the other direction.
Corvo indirectly for Whitney, a bit strong. Jordan Staal with Heikkinen right there on the step up, and Cam Ward will settle it on down for Joe Corvo. Off with a control breakout. He picks up Gleason, springing Ray Whitney on a deflected pass for Eric Staal to fire right to the chest of Marc-Andre Fleury. I had an idea. I definitely had an idea, Bill, and they swing that series to United Center in Chicago, where you can bet those Windy City dwellers will be in love with their Hawks nonetheless. We have a high sticking call right off the draw. Penalty here from referee Mark Choinet. 3-2 Carolina before the opening period is done. Maxime Talbot will send it all the way. Talbot and Cook to penalty kill for Pittsburgh, along with Scuderi and Gill as you look at the special teams numbers for these two units in the playoffs.
The Hurricanes just do not get on the job all that much, and that's got to be a bit of a problem for them.
Ray Whitney slicing in there, needed to elevate that pass. Scuderi was giving up his body as the puck gets trapped in the equipment of Maxime Talbot long enough for a whistle. Orpik putting it on the lip of the boards. LaRose was entangled there with Adams, and the Penguins do the job to clear. Orpik doing the honors. Bad pass from Ward, intercepted by Jordan Staal. He's in! Great save by Ward, correcting his miscue.
That's cleaning up your own mess there. It was well played after the foul-up.
This is UC Jokinen on the drop pass for Whitney. The man they nicknamed the Wizard in Raleigh. Lost it down the dasher, and Talbot will streak away. On the interchange with Cook. Talbot corralled by Heikkinen, and then he'll play a little game of keep away. With Eaton, this is offside, though, against Pittsburgh.
Well, you burp it up in your own zone, and usually bad things happen. We saw that at the other end when Letang turned it over. This time, just a marshmallow of a shot up the wing by Cam Ward. You could see Corvo take the option away from Jordan Staal, and Ward came out, challenged, and turned it aside. Jordan was not the defensive specialist growing up. He liked the offensive side of it too, but like he said the other day to me, when you come into this fold and you have Crosby and Malkin ahead of you, you find your niche.
You learn your role. The other in the Staal family playing in the NHL as Cook works in and fires. It's deflected over top. That's Mark, the Ranger defenseman. He became a defender at age 7. He had to do it to make a team. And he's stuck with it all the way through.
This has been a going nowhere power play for the Canes. Been fabulous penalty killing from Pittsburgh. A lot of down, and they're 2 seconds away from getting clean through this minor penalty.
Carolina now just 2 for 26 on the road in all of the playoffs through 3 rounds. Kunitz set free from the box, delivers it back onto the Carolina half. 2 minutes and 12 seconds away from the United States Marine Corps intermission report with the Stanley Cup playoffs on version. Crosby, a blind pass that was intercepted by Corvo.
You see both teams trying to exit up the middle out of their own zone a lot now because the boards are cut off. It can be dangerous though.
Eric Cole fires, jabbed away by Fleury as he got the blocker up, then he got cleaned out. A sprawling Crosby came right through his crease.
It's NASCAR around both creases.
Guerin with a wrister. That was stopped, so they're trading paint.
They are. There's 4 wide in there.
Are the turns banked? It would only help some of the fastest athletes in the world do their damage.
And they keep going to the net. Said they would. Here's Cullen coming in behind. Locks up with Sidney Crosby, and that's been one of the prime matchups that has unfolded in the first 2 games, trying to get in there, and saw the same thing in game number 1 with Fleury going tumbling and Hal Gill over him.
Head coach Paul Maurice assessing the attributes of Matt Cullen that allow him to play Sidney Crosby fairly well. And the thing he pointed to immediately, Darryl, was Cullen's speed. He can skate with Crosby while Sidney's trying to build momentum out of his own zone.
I don't know that you can play against Crosby or with him unless you can skate.
Yoni Pitkinen's speed did not get out. Fedotenko on his way down, sent it wide. Malkin looking to stuff, didn't get enough of a shooting angle. As Whitney scoops it back onto the Pittsburgh side. Orpik was chopped down, that's going to cost Carolina. A late first period power play right here for the Penguins.
Chad LaRose is going to get this. Got his stick into the feet.
Corvo, Brind'Amour out there to penalty kill along with Gleason and Jokinen. Letang wanted to keep it along the boards. Good hustle there by Gleason and Jokinen, and they burst back out through center. As you see, Pittsburgh overall 20% in the postseason.
Big hit by Letang on Jokinen. There's a nasty edge to this game tonight. Didn't see that in game 1.
Malkin almost from glove to stick, but almost doesn't count. Corvo is away for Carolina. Final 40 seconds of period 1. It is 3-2 for the Canes. 5 goals were on the board before we were 13 minutes old. Gonchar racing back along with Crosby. For the Russian-born high-scoring defender, he swivels it to Malkin, his countryman. Cullen cancels him, and this one winds up off of the rink for the whistle.
Well, 2 guys are doing most of the power play goal scoring for the Penguins. Crosby and Malkin have 9 of their extra man goals. Nobody else has more than 1. There's the list. Philip Boucher with the game winner in game number 1 on the power play set up by Sidney Crosby. And they play a lot. I mean, a big part of it is Crosby and Malkin a lot of times will stay out there the entire power play.
And you always have me looking for the chemistry between Crosby and Gonchar. A man up like they work right now. Malkin feeds one that's deflected by Seidenberg. 10 ticks with which to work in the first. Carolina's got it surrounded. Brind'Amour will send Pittsburgh packing. 2 seconds now, 1. And that will bring to its conclusion a very high-scoring first. Marc-Andre Fleury and Cam Ward were busy, and they saw the red light go on behind them a total of 5 times. The lead goal provided by Dennis Seidenberg. One thing you wanted us to focus upon with respect to Marc-Andre Fleury as this series progressed, Razor, was how was he with rebound control? We'll see how that plays out as Malkin tests the glove of Cam Ward to start period 2.
Boy, Evgeny Malkin's been coming out shooting immediately lately in this playoff. We got a little time left on this power play, half a minute. Trying to get something, trying to get it back to level immediately.
Carolina's Chad LaRose was sent to the penalty box for tripping late in period 1. Carolina in the visiting white. They'll be in their home reds on Saturday when this series continues. Exclusively on Versus from RBC Center in Raleigh. Letang closing in, fires, ricochets it off the post. A big screen in front. Crosby's there on the backhand, and then he was freight trained down, and there's a penalty call.
It's going to be on Crosby, though.
Referee Kevin Pollock right there emphatically making the signal.
This is quite a keep-in by Letang at the blue line. Horrible play by Corvo trying to get it out as he fanned on that one. Comes right back down their throat. There's Bill Guerin trying to dance out of the way of a hot shot.
Number 87,
Pittsburgh,
2 minutes tripping.
Carolina tries to build on its lead here in the early stages of the second period. Yoni Pitkinen for Seidenberg, a bullet. Fleury saw it all the way. Al Gill keeps it along the woodwork. Talbot didn't get it out. Brind'Amour sets it for Jussi Jokinen. Jokinen on the cycle, lost possession to Talbot. And Craig Adams will just putter it down into the Carolina zone. Seidenberg missed the front of the check, as you can plainly see.
By a considerable margin. He tested the window.
Jussi Jokinen offers it for Sergei Samsonov. Then on for Brind'Amour. As he delays along the wall, Orpik close ranks. Joni Pitkanen working to the outside. Tried to force feed Jussi Jokinen. That didn't get to him. Mark Eaton on it for Pittsburgh, and he'll jam it back to center. And Cook will continue it all the way down the ice.
Even if the Hurricanes are not going to score on the power play, they got to find a way to build more momentum off of these. They're getting outplayed when they have the extra man. And terrific penalty killing from the Pens again.
48 seconds left in the minor to Crosby. A ton of excitement in this game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. Carolina trying to level this series at 1 before it swings back to their home barn. Ray Whitney cruising out of the corner, gave it off for Kaberle, who could not keep it in.
A good play by Whitney initially. He just gravitated to the puck, pounded it, went and got it, and then thought he could just lay it back to the point, but it was obviously vacant.
Kaberle launches in from center. Gill wrestling with LaRose. Out of the scrum, Corvo cheating in, and he got caught. Talbot goes one-on-one against Kaberle. Maxime Talbot to the front, just missing there on the redirect. It was just a bit long for Craig Adams.
Boy, why did Corvo pinch there, though?
Whitney winds and fires. That was turned away. Sergei Gonchar was in good shape for the Penguins. Malkin will reverse the flow for Brooks Orpik. Pittsburgh back to even strength. Crosby vacates the penalty box. Carolina still dangerous. Whitney's pass was deflected. Carolina's top assist man and point scorer, Seidenberg, broke his stick on the slapper.
And he was wide open. It was commodious.
Trouble. Talbot knifing in. Winds and scores! Maxime Talbot with a rocket.
You know, Paul Maurice called their mental errors in game 1 one-offs, not systemic. It's a bad change again, though. In a quick up from the Penguins. Little touch pass in the neutral zone, and the Cavalry's coming, but they're chasing toward their net. A bullet, pestilent blast from Talbot that rattled in off the pipe and has ignited this building again, which has gone deafeningly silent.
Fans love their Mad Max. An energy guy for the Pittsburgh Penguins as he blisters Cam Ward for the 3rd on the night.
It's a tough period to get your changes in, and that was a real bright, quick up by the Penguins. But still, same thing seemed to be coming back to haunt the Hurricanes here. They're doing lots of good, but the bad is equalizing.
See the logo on those white t-shirts being worn by so many in attendance during this whiteout at Mellon Arena. The logo says the real eye of the storm. With the Hurricanes in town, Pittsburgh has rallied back to equalize at 3. Ruslan Fedotenko out there for Bill Guerin. Guerin is stalled at center by Seidenberg.
These next couple of shifts are important for the Penguins, though, because right out of the good, the bad is coming in a hurry in this game.
Erik Cole does not appear to be showing signs of that leg injury he sustained in game 1. Tuomo Ruutu was scratched tonight prior to the start of game 2.
And it's been a 3-line game for Paul Maurice. That 4th line played 1, maybe 2 shifts in that opening period.
Talbot's 3rd of the postseason from Crosby. At 3-11, tying the tally at 3 apiece. Seidenberg in a tussle there with Fedotenko. And the Carolina captain has it. That's Rod Brind'Amour. Seidenberg giving some ground as the Penguins are in the middle of a chain. Brind'Amour zips it ahead for Jussi Jokinen. His relay finds Walker. Jokinen parked behind Fleury. Feeds the front. Bang, bang! Fleury just got the glove up there as Corvo was all alone.
I know the puck can be intoxicating, but everyone can't stare at it defensively.
Both teams have had their shoddy moments. Watch out, Malkin got drilled by Walker.
Well, there's been a lot of that. Guys flying in to fill someone in and only getting a chunk of them.
Back at Hockey Central on Versus, Keith Jones was saying about Pittsburgh's star players. Malkin's one of those, a willingness to go into a high traffic area. This isn't normally one of those.
Comes around and in comes the train that is Scotty Walker.
Kennedy beat Eric Stahl. Baby brother Jordan said Eric's improving a lot at the face-off dodge. Bali hammers one that's right to the gut of Marc-Andre Fleury. Whitney scoops it into goal mouth. Another juicy rebound there. Chad LaRose, who already has one tonight, was looking for another. Just past the 5-minute mark of period 2. Eric Stahl protecting it very well. Double team came from Boucher. Whitney at the near post. Tries to slide it cross crease. Nothing there.
Two good defensive plays with the stick. One from Boucher, that last one from Orpik.
Shatan in tight quarters for Kennedy. Kennedy not able to tiptoe around Eric Stahl, and we watch him turn the cage.
Penguins need to do more of that in their own zone. Fill in those lanes with sticks and bodies. Be aware away from the puck, because they're really struggling at times with this cycle game of the Hurricanes.
Carolina 3, Pittsburgh 3, 14-15 to go in the second period. Carolina out shooting the Penguins 17-14. Canes taking their time on the clear. Pitkanen connecting the dots with Cullen, and he'll scoop it on down. Scuderi plays it to his trusty partner Gill. Those two have been rock solid in the postseason.
They did a lot of working on what they just did yesterday on their off day. Trying to get back, retrieve pucks, and get out of Dutch.
And make a lot of communication to do it. Corvo to the front, went right beneath Scuderi. Crosby with one hand on the blade. Cullen was there to keep it deep for Carolina on the attack.
Just so wearing for defensemen on both sides when pucks continually get pummeled and funneled in behind them, and then they have to turn and go get it, and they know they're going to get hit most times when they do get it.
Game one of this series was Monday night. These two teams have plenty of energy, and they have shown it in this game too. High scoring at 3-3, nearing the midway mark of regulation. Dwyer is in the lineup. Patrick Dwyer for Carolina, on for the Alan Cuomo Ruutu. A wrister that's snatched out of the air by Fleury with another gathering near the crease.
We are tied at 3 here in the second period in Pittsburgh. Well, if you've ever watched Sidney Crosby be interviewed, you know he always wears the same ball cap. Well, that cap was a gift from 11-year-old Bryce Cunningham through the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Bryce was diagnosed with melanoma 3 years ago. He watched Sidney in his old ball cap and thought it was a little too beat up. So he went and bought him a new one, had it stitched up, gave it to him as a gift in February. Now, Crosby never likes to change his routine mid-season, but he was just so touched by this. He's been wearing Bryce's cap ever since. And Joe, best news of all, Bryce will be 2 years cancer-free this fall.
Oh, that's fantastic news, Chris. And we learn about these stories league-wide, Daryl, among 30 teams. So inspirational with the ties that they make to the community.
Make-A-Wish, a phenomenal organization, been granting wishes since 1980.
As the live action resumes, this is game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. Exclusively yours on Versus. Pittsburgh has a 1-0 series lead. Handle. Malkin jousts it away. Maxime Talbot delivers it to center. 5 of the 6 goals tonight came back in the first period. Talbot's at 3-11 to the middle frame from Crosby and Malkin. Talbot hurriedly around the corner away from UC Jokinen, and he pitched it to center.
It's a half-ice game right now. The Canes just keep pumping the puck back down their throats, trying to establish a forecheck, and it's coming hard.
Thought it was interesting listening to Paul Maurice say that their game is built around quickness, not necessarily speed. He made the difference between the two.
It's bursts, and they're one of the best in the league at it, pressuring the puck in straight lines. Seems like there's 8, 9 of them out there when you're playing against them, I'm sure.
Brooks Orpik dodging Eric Stahl, but he didn't get it out. Gleason keeps it along the boards. LaRose is there, twisting away from Orpik, who buried him against the boards. Brooks Orpik hits like a hammer. Sidney Crosby, rather, at the center ice. This is Shatan working with Cook and Stahl at the attacking line. Corbo knocked it out of the air. Joe Corbo repositioned to the front. The pass came right by him. It's kept in by Gonchar. Jordan Stahl spinning away from brother Eric. To the front for Gonchar, who was tripped up by the pass. Counterattack time for Eric Stahl. Looping in, he fires, stick save, Fleury. Shoot it at his feet, and maybe you'll get a rebound.
Especially from those angles, Joe. Tough to control for the netminder.
Seidenberg, full sprint, able to keep it in. Whitney dummies it on through. He was hopeful for a player along the boards. The Canes were finishing up a line change. Orpik ladles it in, and he'll get fresh troops on for Pittsburgh.
It's weird. They have the goal, the Penguins do, in this second period, but they're getting grossly outplayed, and they've sort of stopped playing and been forced to play in their own zone since.
Gill using the dasher to get it to Guerin. Now Crosby full flight. Sidney Crosby not able to split 2 as it rolled right to the waiting Cam Ward.
A determined effort from the young Penguin captain. They're going hard and often to both nets. Really enjoyed watching Sidney Crosby in practice, along with watching him in these games, because he does everything like this in practice. He plays that hard and that fast in everything he does when they're just working on things. Every drill is done this way. Pretty good stick play by both Pitkanen and Seidenberg to stay on him. McDonald's goal cam shows you that Cam Ward is loving it. He's getting a little help in front of him.
Cam Ward, 25-year-old Saskatchewan native, trying to keep Crosby off the board. He opened the scoring. LaRose followed. Guerin had the most recent chance there, and he shanked it off the heel of his blade. Kunitz back to point position. This one is rammed wide by Scuderi. Kunitz playing on the interchange for Crosby. Matt Cullen stuck to him like glue. Crosby knocked down. Referees allow play to continue. Mark Choinet and Kevin Pollock tonight in the orange armbands. Boucher changing the point of attack for Scuderi. Below the goal line to Crosby. Cullen still with him. There's a penalty call now. Fleury on his way to the bench. Scuderi's backhander is rejected. And Pittsburgh goes to the power play after the high stick.
We're tied at 3 here in Pittsburgh. Well, they say imitation is the finest form of flattery, from the fake Hanson brother to the real Hanson brother. I'm here with Dave Hanson of Slapshot fame, with his son Christian Hanson, who signed up with the Toronto Maple Leafs, played his 5 first NHL games in the spring. Dave, what do you think of your son's career?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. He's had a great 4 years at Notre Dame, and then he's off on a new venture with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and couldn't be more excited about it.
Christian, what was the first 5 games for you in the NHL like?
Oh, it was pretty awesome. I mean, it was a dream come true. I mean, to be able to step in and play right away, and especially with the Maple Leafs, is something I couldn't even imagine.
Well, guys, I was just going to say, what are you liking about the playoffs that you've seen so far? I know pretty much Pittsburgh's your home. What do you think of the Penguins?
Oh, I just think it's exciting. It's the most exciting time of the year, and you see the atmosphere here. There's nothing like professional hockey in the NHL, and having Pittsburgh get part of it right now.
Christian, I got to ask you quickly, what kind of player are you? I mean, could you have played your dad's role in the movie?
I don't think so. I like to see myself as a power forward. I like to score goals, but at the same time, I think I can get in the corners and muck it up a little bit.
Well, guys, enjoy the game. Joe?
Chris, thanks. The young man has taken a savage beating, as would have been said by the late Paul Newman in Slapshot fame. Power play persists for Pittsburgh here for another 112. Malkin loads it up, pad save Ward.
He's regurgitating everything now.
Sidney Crosby elevates that pass over the blade of Malkin. It will chase Pittsburgh back to center.
This is the first real set of pressure for the Penguins in this middle frame.
Sergei Gonchar working the half wall, delivers to Kunitz. Point position Letang, plenty of room to operate. Malkin switching sides, Kunitz right on. Kick out stop by Ward. Follow-up chance off the outside of the post.
Got a second one because Brind'Amour had lost his stick.
Good puck rotation here for the Pens. Sergei Gonchar around the fallen Brind'Amour. 30 seconds left in the Pittsburgh power play. Crosby to Malkin. Settles. Cross rink. Gonchar with all day to play. Kunitz. Crosby playing the two-man game. Running out of real estate there. Valine waving at Malkin. High slot. Kunitz's wrister was blocked by LaRose. Gonchar settles. 4 seconds left in the power play. Kunitz in the front. Bang, bang. Tapped wide by Letang. Gonchar straight away. Fires right to the gut of Ward, and there's no rebound.
That was an ambush. That was an extra man ambush that was completely snuffed out by Cam Ward. They had lots of looks, and now there's plenty of anger. LaRose in the middle of it. Kunitz, Crosby and Malkin were both out there late in a shift. Face wash time.
Malkin did a little bit more than face wash. He rained down a couple of big punches there.
They just controlled the pill the entire power play and had a ton of real good looks. One thing that Gonchar and Sidney Crosby worked on this morning was this little play where Crosby, there he is, 87, left-hand side of your screen, sets up, gets his hands tight, and tries to deflect on his forehand, an offering from Gonchar out top. It almost clicked for them. Bright guys, wonderful marriage on the power play between two world-class skill players there that almost clicked. They got through that penalty kill barely.
Darryl, it always seems like there's eye contact between the great ones who work together so
Number
well.
59, Carolina. Number 71, Pittsburgh, 2 each for roughing.
So a little delinquency from those two, so they'll sit sequestered. Crosby will get a break. Everyone will settle in here for a little bit, but I think if the Carolina Hurricanes did not get the Penguins' attention in game number 1 with their effort, this valorous bunch here tonight certainly has it.
They're working on it. He's Darryl Ray. I'm Joe Beninati. We're upstairs. Chris Simpson is ringside for you. 3 cheers for all the men and women in our technical crew. This is game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final, exclusively on Versus. Whitney to the front. Wrist shot chance. Sprawling. Scuderi makes the save on Pitkanen. It's booted back to point position. 4-on-4 unfolds. Seidenberg. To the corner for Pitkanen. Erased there by Chetan. Jordan Staal working deep in his own territory. Gets the takeaway hand away from Scuderi. Dodging one, just poked it wide. A brilliant individual effort.
Was it ever? Used his number 1 asset, which is his size.
Cole rambling back with Eric Staal. His wrister turned away by Gonchar. Joni Pitkanen offers for Corvo. Fires, that's knocked down. Once again, the Penguins are blocking a ton of shots in front of Marc-Andre Fleury. Eric Staal given a nudge by Orpik. Eric Staal jumps to the middle. He got knocked down. Power play coming up for Carolina right here.
It's going to be a power play, and it's going to be one of those lethal 4-on-3 power plays where there's a ton of open ice. There's that play to the net. Little hip check. The lost start. The dark heart. We're going to go one-on-one. Look at that.
This Carolina power play picking it up from one round to the next. Had a power play goal back in game 1, and this was the man that provided it, Joe Corvo. Switch it up for Whitney. Trying to get it to the best spot for Corvo to unleash that wicked one-timer. Whitney inching closer. Corvo thought about it. Ray Whitney once more. Craig Adams is right in that shooting lane. Brind'Amour for Corvo. Whitney to the outside to Eric Staal, who stumbled. Corvo one time, whipped it wide. Hard-working Cook to the outside. Didn't get it clear. Adams didn't get it out. Corvo for Eric Staal. Sharp angle. Blocked by Scuderi. Such a tower of strength in front.
What a sequence for those 3 penalty killers. You can't do that any better than those 3 did. Adams and Cook up front. Scuderi on defense.
Malkin out of the box. This is now a 5-on-4 power play for Carolina. And Hal Gill will rag time at center.
They could never get enough open space to even crank a shot in. And even when they went down low, they just folded down, gave them nothing as far as a cross crease or a cross ice option.
Scoreboard level at 3. 5 of the 6 goals came back in the opening period. A Maxime Talbot strike here in the second has tied Pittsburgh up in front of a sellout crowd at Mellon Arena. Eric Cole drops it on back for Joni Pitkanen. Seidenberg at the other point. Pitkanen straight away. He'll choose Sergei Samsonov. Elevates it for Pitkanen. Pressured on the outside, coming from Adams. Adams makes the strip. Samsonov fighting to get it back. Cole with good body position below the goal line. Eric Cole venturing away from Gill. 5 seconds in the power play. That pass too hot to handle for Seidenberg. Cole bracing himself, took his eyes off the puck. Gill will not get it out. UC Jokinen for Carolina. Cross-rink feed deflected by Eaton as the Penguins are back to an even playing field. Slap shot coming from Samsonov was shanked. Ruslan Fedotenko 3-on-3. Fedotenko crisscross. Ward makes a fine stop there on Adams.
That was nicely generated, a little layer to the attack.
And Ward does it again, this time on Fedotenko, and says, fellas, we've had enough. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. Pittsburgh has the series lead 1-0. A backhand chance for Sidney Crosby, but floated high. Boucher to the front. Ward looking behind him, but he will squeeze to deny Crosby again.
He's won a lot of these draws on his forehand in the attacking zone.
Digging in with that straight hockey blade. I asked him earlier if he had ever used a bigger curve, and he said sure, in junior. As we get a whistle here. There are going to be matching minors, it appears. Two guys are getting the gate, compliments of Kevin Pollock.
Yeah, there's a lot of legal on that play.
Carolina number 26, 2 minutes holding. Pittsburgh 55, 2 minutes interference.
So you got to allow the guy his lane in, and Gonchar stepped into Cole, and Cole tried to bulldog him. So off they go for their ice crimes.
And that has necessitated the arrival of 25-year-old Patrick Dwyer into the lineup for Paul Maurice. He's played sparingly so far, and this is his first ever Stanley Cup playoff game. Samsonov met there by Orpik as Malkin goes round and round with Cullen. Seidenberg scoops that one for Pitkanen to walk in. Seidenberg's one-timer, didn't get a lot of mustard on that.
That's worked for him, though.
Change of pace.
Yeah. Defensemen are usually the dangerous ones when you're 4-on-4. The coverage is man-on-man most of the time.
And Joni Pitkanen can be as dangerous as they come, although Paul Maurice says we don't have the same offensive expectations about Pitkanen that have been there for him to shoulder with other organizations. Whitney carving back through center. Scuderi keeping an eye on Eric Stahl. Ray Whitney stepping to the inside. Didn't get it through as Eaton sprawled to make that shot block.
He bailed out his partner. Scuderi gave that right back to him.
2:45 to go in the second, tied up at 3. Whitney dashing down the wing. Skids to a stop, plays it back for Corbo. Jordan Stahl was drawing a bead on him. Tyler Kennedy snakes his way into the offensive territory as we are 4-on-4 for another 38 seconds. Gleason roaring out of his own zone. Shifting gears now on Letang. Orpik punched it away from Eric Stahl. Chad LaRose settled. Lost the handle there, and Fedotenko wants to counterpunch with Crosby. Scooped that one, an aerial feed for Letang, who's always ready to jump into the rush. Sidney Crosby goes 360 on Gleason, who wasn't buying any of those fakes. Good defensive work there. Both Gleason and Eric Stahl able to keep Crosby at bay. Fedotenko on the headman. Crosby opens up, fakes it, curl and drag, backhander, stonewalled by Ward.
I can think of better ways to defend Sidney Crosby than what just unfolded. Both defensemen ended up facing their own goalie. First it was Corbo, then Pitkanen in behind. Toughen up when you're staring at Crosby, let alone when you got to find him in the rearview mirror. And another tester on Ward in tight. We talked about these two off the hop in game 1. The top scorer, the playoff-proven goalie.
Both netminders appear to have settled in after that high-scoring first period. Carolina had the advantage 3-2 after 20 minutes.
They've gotten a little more help in this frame, too. A little more, not a lot.
Pitkanen gallops back there to make the touch-up. This is an icing against Pittsburgh. As far as the NHL's MVP award is concerned, there are 3 finalists: Ovechkin, Malkin, and Datsyuk. Shatan bursting wide. Shatan hangs onto it. Almost got to the front of the goal. Uncontested. Malkin playing hide and seek back behind the cave. Drifts out to a better shooting angle. Good pass for Shatan. That was rejected by Pitkanen. Last minute of the second period. Gill. Craig Adams continuing the cycle for Malkin. Malkin double teamed along the boards. Funnels one to the front. UC Opening was there. And Craig Adams will have to reload.
Good smart awareness away from the puck that time. Boy, Malkin and Crosby, though, are really starting to trot.
Guerin pulls the trigger, blocked by Pitkanen. Samsonov and Kunitz, a pair of 14s, go to the boards. Guerin with 22 seconds to operate. Malkin turns and fires. A good save there for Ward.
Penguins about changing. There's some tired guys out here, in particular the defenseman. Pitkinen's been out here for a while.
A dozen seconds left. You look at that four-man quarrel. Kunitz comes out there with it and scores! Chris Kunitz breaks out of a long funk.
This is an elephantine goal coming this late in the period. And some weary bodies defensively. Look at Seidenberg's just gassed. Pitkinen straight-legged in front of the net. There's a lot of room, and Kunitz finds the elevation on that wrister. Cam Ward dropped, took the percentages away, and there is relief on Kunitz, who has shown a lot of value in other areas. Even when he's not scoring, he's a good player. But everyone likes to score goals.
As the horn sounds, ending period number 2. And the Pittsburgh Penguins will carry a one-goal lead. Off to the dressing room, thanks to that man, Chris Kunitz, at 19:52 of the second.
Well, Bill, it's his first goal in 19 games, and boy, it came in dramatic fashion. Chris, do you kind of feel like the weight of the world's been lifted off your shoulders right now?
You know what, it feels good, but we're in a tough game right now. We don't really care who scores the goals as long as we win. Right now, we're going to have a battle in this third period.
As Daryl Ray said, if the Hurricanes team didn't get your attention in game 1, they sure have through the first 2 periods. Does it look like it's just a much more determined Carolina team here tonight?
You know what, we're just battling everybody on the ice. Everybody knows what's at stake. You can't get too far of a lead in the series. You know they're coming out giving their best effort, and so are we. It's just been a good game so far.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, thanks a lot.
It is a lovely Thursday night in the Steel City of Pittsburgh, PA. Signs are everywhere for attention getters like Sidney Crosby in the Stanley Cup playoffs on Versus. Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final exclusively yours. Daryl, we looked at these 3 gentlemen earlier tonight as ones to watch. They haven't let us down.
It's nice that they do that for us, isn't it, Joe? LaRose bumped up to their top line because of some injuries. He's been productive. Kunitz with his first in eons. And Evgeny Malkin, who's looked dangerous throughout.
For Chris Kunitz, that tally came at 19:52 of the second period, giving Pittsburgh the advantage they protect, as this is a whistle down play at the attacking line, which gives us time for the United States Marine Corps storyline. Big night for the Big Stars.
I bet the numbers are pretty good when Malkin and Crosby have nights like this. Together, they've been a terrific 1-2 punch. Eric Stahl trying to do his best on the other side. We mentioned about Kunitz. We've seen a lot of Crosby against Stahl as this thing's moved along. Not as much of just the straight-up Jordan Stahl against Eric Stahl.
Pittsburgh has outshot its opposition in the Stanley Cup playoffs. 10 straight games coming into tonight. That's a club record. They're out shooting Carolina right now, 28-20.
Well, they strafed him in that middle frame.
16-6 by my count. Pitkinen fires, a glove save for Marc-Andre Fleury.
And he settled down a little bit.
Pittsburgh has been very good when protecting a 40-minute lead. Carolina, as Bill Patrick just told you, one of the 3 teams that was able to rally back after a 2-period deficit this postseason. 49-3 overall in 3 rounds this spring. As this is offside against Carolina, we revisit an eventful night for number 87.
He's maybe been the best player in the game. He's been competitive and successful on the dot, winning these faceoffs. He opened the scoring in the hockey game, and the Hurricanes are trying to physically inconvenience him. There's no question about that. They've gone after him.
Sergei Gonchar channels it ahead right to a waiting Sergei Samsonov, who is corralled by Bill Guerin. Joe Corvo did not keep that one in. He's got to wait for his teammates to tag up as you watch Sergei Gonchar turn the corner. Cullen streaking in there, did not get his blade on it. Carolina will reorganize. Game 3 of this series comes Saturday night at RBC Center. Penguin forward Bill Guerin said it's not a massive arena, but wow, is the atmosphere incredible. They are loud there. We asked Billy Guerin for the loudest playoff building, and he said, matter-of-factly, Edmonton. When they get roaring there in that old barn. Offside against Pittsburgh.
This place has been quiet at times. It's exploded at times. I think everyone just figures no lead is safe against these Hurricanes this season.
2 minutes deep in front of better than 17,000 inside of Mellon Arena. Tyler Kennedy swivels one wide of the goal. Satan looking for Adams. Kennedy joining the fray. Stalls it all the way out to point position for Gonchar to keep alive. These two teams are skating 5-on-5. Patrick Eaves for the Hurricanes. Dishes it down the wing. Patrick Dwyer going after it for Ryan Beta. This fourth line for Paul Maurice has played sparingly tonight. Dwyer getting a jersey. As the wrist shot and score! Eaves, how do you do? Tied up at 4.
I'm telling you, there's some kind of a magic bubble around the Hurricanes in this postseason. As you mentioned, the lightly used fourth unit gets out there. They win a puck battle against Boucher and Gonchar deep. A perfect play from behind the net to the front and a sizzling shot from Eaves in the slot. Got just past the outstretched stick of Adams. That is like a bonus goal when you bring them out of the 4-hole and they do that for you. Wow.
Penguins fans showing the anguish. Eaves had never scored a point against Pittsburgh in his career. Just his second ever playoff goal. Young man turned 25 started this month. As Cook looks to stuff, Cam Ward was ready.
But that should just never happen. What just happened in behind to give up that opportunity right on the heels of getting that monstrous goal at the other end.
Well, you've explained it throughout the night, and it would figure with a score tied up at 4. These two teams have been a little bit too loosey-goosey on D.
At times, I don't know if they have any choice. A lot of speedy, quick, smart forwards playing a passionate game down low. Down near the goal line in front, behind the net to the front.
This is an offside against Carolina. Tying it up here at 2:35 of the third period. Eaves from Beta. Mark Eaton keeps it along the boards for Bill Guerin. Rattled there by Eric Cole. Crosby on a give-and-go play with Kunitz. Crosby did not get a lot of mustard on that. Matt Cullen lifts it along the boards, but not out. Guerin turning. Cross rink for Letang. In a scrum there with two Hurricane defenders. Cam Ward with words of instruction for Joe Corbo. Under siege there from Crosby. Gleason steps out, chops Kunitz down. Corbo from his knees plays it twice along the boards, and now there's a penalty coming up. And Matt Cullen is incensed. This is going to be ruled a trip.
But this was created by the tenacity of the Crosby line, who got in and after the Canes defense. Corbo and Gleason pounded them, hit them, got into these little puck battles.
Number 8, Carolina.
You can see why
2
Cullen
minutes,
was
Survey.
mad, though. He almost had his block knocked off by Crosby and then ended up tripping him up. If I was the Penguins right now, I'd try to be clean on this power play because they'll probably be looking.
Crosby, Guerin, Malkin across the top. Letang and Gonchar in back for the black-sweatered Penguins in this 4-4 struggle in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final exclusively on Versa. Gonchar deadened at the point there by Eric Stahl. Sergei Gonchar drags it for Crosby. They flood this side for Malkin. Letang, wrister, no worries for Ward. He wanted to melt it, and he did long enough for the whistle from Pollock.
The power play for the Penguins had a good start, then it went dry for a while, then it got hot again, obviously, on this stretch that they're on right now. It's almost like an algorithm that Dan Bielsma asked from his power play on how they want to go about their business. It starts in their own zone. He doesn't want them to skip steps. It's got to be the breakout. It's got to be an early exit out of your own zone. Get it in, get it set up, show patience, and then execute. They need the puck first, though.
They like to do it at critical times. Always coaches talk about, show me your power play numbers in the third period. Well, Pittsburgh's 33% in the third period or overtime this postseason. Crosby racing after it. Good shoulder delivered to him by Gleason. Rugged customer on the Carolina back end. Rod Brindamore, a good penalty killer for so long, able to clear.
Penalty killing was the last thing that Paul Maurice and his crew changed once they took over midseason from Laviolette. They've lost 4 games in a row. It was going nowhere. They're, in his words, about to lose their 5th in a row. They were in Buffalo. They changed it up, went aggressive, and you can see how it's worked for them in this series already.
LaRose down the wing with a weak wrister, patted away by Fleury. Maurice's first game back at the helm for the Carolina Hurricanes was in Raleigh against Pittsburgh in early December. Gonchar smoothly through center. High around the glass. 10 seconds left in the minor penalty to Cullen. Jordan stalled for the Pens. Chaining places with Chatan. Boucher knocked down in front. And Brindamore says go away.
Real good work by Seidenberg, the defenseman, to front the net, handle Stahl in front, and block that shot.
That's no easy assignment.
No.
Gordon Stahl is one big hombre. Brindamore rolls it softly to the goal mouth. Fleury hands it off for Hal Gill. 13:30 left to go in regulation. A thriller shaping up for this one with Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final deadlocked at 4. Walker sails it wide. Joni Pitkanen pushing in from that point spot. Gleason tracked down by Fedotenko, and Carolina has to give ground again. Ryan Engblom at Hockey Central on Versus between periods 2 and 3, talking about the good step-ups from the Carolina D. They're backpedaling now as Ward makes the blocker stop, and he'll hang on.
We are tied at 4 here in Pittsburgh, and for the Penguins, Bill Guerin, well, he's got his own fan club here tonight. It includes his wife, Kara, their 4 kids, Kayla, Grace, Liam, and Lexi. Well, they don't get to see a whole lot of their dad since he was traded here from the New York Islanders in March. The family stayed in Long Island. Well, Bill lives in a hotel here in Pittsburgh. They've missed a little bit of school to be able to watch Dad during the playoffs. I'm sure they wouldn't mind missing more if he's playing well into June. Joe?
School's not important this time. Here's the playoffs.
Oh, completely.
This is an education.
All I know is that Liam was giving us some grief, and specifically me some grief, prior to the game tonight. We have to fix his wagon.
You know, the Guerins aren't the only ones in this Penguin family. A lot sacrificing the Philip Boucher's family's back in Dallas. Wife Lucy, the Bielsmas split up. Tom Fitzgerald in the hotel across the street, their assistant coach. All about trying to get as deep as you can and win a Stanley Cup.
Dan Bilesma, when he gives it some thought, he says just how fortunate, how blessed he is. All he really wanted was to get the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton job when it was Todd Richards going off to San Jose to be an assistant. He's gotten that job and a whole lot more. Bill Guerin rifling back in with Craig Adams. He fires! Glove save Ward. Cool as a cucumber. He makes that cover up.
Kind of mixed and matched the Penguin lines a little bit. Had Billy Guerin out here with Fedotenko and Talbot. All 3 guys would take the body consistently. And straight up against the Cullen line, who's been trying to match up against Crosby throughout the game. Another one of those big pudgy rebounds coming the other way. Chance at the other end with traffic in front. Guerin's gone to the net hard throughout the contest here tonight.
Darryl, you played the game in goal at the highest level. What's involved for a goalie concentration-wise with all that traffic streaming in front of him?
Look for it. Find it through traffic. Trust your teammates at the same time that they've got stuff in the periphery covered so that you can just concentrate on what's coming at you.
LaRose scales it in as Gonchar turns, gets a little bit of a pick screen. LaRose with a takeaway, marching to the front. Poke check by Fleury. Well timed by the netminder there.
Yeah, sneaky little one.
Matt Cook jostling along the boards with Eric Stahl. Jordan comes the other way. Eric's baby brother fires off the shoulder of Ward. He was able to fight that one off. Joe Corvo drilled from the blind side by Jordan Stahl as these 2 teams continue to work 5-on-5. 11 and a half minutes to go in regulation of a 4-4 tie. Cook darting down the wing. Corvo keeps him to the outside. Cam Ward trying to help his own cause there, didn't get the handle on it. Gleason is pinned to Malkin. Evgeny Malkin steps towards the front, forced back. Indirectly for Kunitz, who's ended his long goal-scoring drought tonight. Wrister on the way, Petsy, rebound, score!
Who's the second mouse that gets the cheese? This started a couple of shifts ago when Dan Bylsma changed up the line. He got Crosby and Malkin out together against a different matchup. Our McDonald's goal cam shows the issues that Cam was dealing with. 2 opportunities right next to Gleason. Ecstasy in the crowd from Mom and Dad. He's had quite a game tonight again.
Well,
how do you stop him?
We know that the son is a rock star in Pittsburgh, PA, but the mom and dad are gaining fan support. Evgeny Malkin having a monster night. 5 straight multiple-point games in the postseason.
Well, it's been a real cat-and-mouse game at times, though, between the 2 coaches, Dan Bylsma and Paul Maurice. They've kind of swapped, making real bright moves from their bench. Change up matchups, out-change the other side. It's been quite a hockey game.
Interesting, Darryl. Paul Maurice goes to Beta, Eves, and Dwyer now. The shift after a goal. Those guys providing
the other zone.
Pitkin into the goal mouth. That was snared. Letang able to wrist it out to safety. 10.5 minutes to go in this wild one, regulation time. Game 2 of the Eastern Final. Whistle, stoppage in play. The puck was played with a high stick.
It's just such an elegant, mesmerizing guy when he's in space, but he also has that edge to his game where he'll go to the net. When you go in there, you're usually going to face some trouble, and he doesn't seem to mind to go there.
Halfway through the 3rd. Pittsburgh on top in this thriller by 1. Colleen lined up on Cook. That centering pass, wrong siding. Jordan Staal. Scuderi has it for Pittsburgh. On the lead for Jordan Staal, deflected away. Now Sergei Samsonov winds it up for the Canes. 9 guys on this roster who were with Carolina in 06 when they won it all. It dribbles back out to center. Kunitz's relay was blocked by Corvo. Ward paddles it to the boards with Crosby stepping to the front. Joe Corvo on for Samsonov. Sergei swivels away from Guerin's forecheck. And Pittsburgh will try to lock down the neutral zone. Cullen knifing in. Cole looking late for Samsonov. Marked well by Kunitz. Joni Pitkanen getting things organized for Cullen's long wrister. That buzzed way wide as the Canes will change.
We'll see how much Corvo and Pitkanen play here now in the final 9 minutes, along with Eric Staal. They were out there virtually every second shift in game 1 in the 3rd when they were trying to play from behind.
You clued me into a note about those 2. They played more minutes than anyone in the playoffs. Brindamore. His pass was thieved. And Malkin skips free. Malkin got chopped down, and the officials say play on. Mark Joannette was the referee closest to it. And the Pens fans hate that non-call. The Pittsburgh Penguins leading this series by 1-0, have a 1-goal advantage thanks to our Bud Light difference maker.
Evgeny Malkin, 3-point night for him, couple of them goals. He now has 12 points in his last 5 games. And this is the issue the Hurricanes have trying to match up against these 3 centers. You can put all your focus defensively on Crosby, and then Jordan Staal puts his focus defensively going the other way, and the variable is Malkin.
Jordan Staal cruising in, fans on the wrist shot with Joe Corvo in the lane. Carolina in the white needs one to tie. This resilient bunch that has bounced back time after time. Whitney cruising. Ray Whitney turns the corner. Finds LaRose. Stopped by Fleury. Jordan Staal with an active hockey stick, chopping the rebound away. He skates it through center and sends it on down. Joni Pitkanen collects for Carolina. 7:45 with which to work in the 3rd. Turnover. Jordan Staal didn't have a lot of ability there to make that shot as he was tied up. Pittsburgh getting a big night from its superstars. When they both are on the board, Darryl, they're almost even money.
You got the numbers on it now, and yeah, it's how do you beat that? It's the bang-bang double threat. And you get them both on the board in the goal column. Good luck. But even with that, Well, the Canes continue to produce enough of these little eye-opening, eyebrow-raising opportunities in the attacking zone. And it's a one-shot game.
Malkin burrowing is out. Oh my word! Evgeny Malkin, spectacular for the hat trick.
Not a one-goal game anymore. Right off the draw, he slips, call it, and then this is just a whirling, Sapien, no-look, backhand, elevated, ender. Watch this. Seidenberg on his back. Elevation, execution, equal measure, has worn down all me, all the time. The hats have showered down, and he's had quite a night.
Two words come to mind: world class. That was no ordinary tally. Evgeny Malkin looking up at the board, waiting to see a review of his handiwork that has prompted a shower of hats.
Cam Ward went down and was deep. That was part of the fatal play. Seidenberg was on him, not thinking he was going to shoot the puck, but this guy's just been on a different level here again tonight. He did it in one of the games in the previous series against the Washington Capitals. They just put that on the Jumbotron here at the Igloo, and this place is going gaga.
Very proud mom and pop as we revisit the hat trick from number 71 this evening.
Well, that's how he's gone about his business tonight. Driving to the net, getting rewarded. Out-muscling, out-maneuvering a defenseman, getting rewarded. And then all him, just an absolute piece of class to put the exclamation point on a wonderful night for 71.
Dan Bilesma told us that Malkin helped to create 10 scoring chances in game one. It's almost 10 times 10 tonight. It's a 2-goal advantage for Pittsburgh. Malkin has been mesmerizing this evening. Souvenirs, anyone? Souvenirs.
That's a lot of hats. And Boffo, exuberation in this building now. Almost acted as a pseudo timeout, though, for Paul Maurice and his side, who have to collect themselves and try to drive back the other way. But the task is now Herculean. They're down by a couple in this environment.
The cheerleaders in the stands, Malkin's parents, Vladimir and Natalia, will know what fun they have had watching their son do his damage in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. Joe Beninati, Darryl Ray upstairs, Chris Simpson, our ringside reporter. Tip of the cap to all of the men and women in our technical crew for their efforts. What's at stake? This is Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Final. Pittsburgh here at its Igloo. Mellon Arena trying to take a 2-0 lead to Raleigh's RBC Center for Saturday's Game 3. Crosby muscling his way off the boards. Sidney Crosby determined to the goal mouth. Poke check by Ward, who has been victimized for 6 tallies tonight. Gonchar springs Kunitz as the fans serenade the Carolina goalkeeper, who has been so stout. Malkin swinging a miss. Ward so good, bouncing back after a playoff loss. 12-2 in his career. Chatan weakly to the front. Yoni Pitkin in there, and he was creamed by Craig Adams. Adams bouncing back up, fires Ward with a denial.
They've done that. Their forecheck has acted like body blows, and they're dropping their hands now. And it's a mauling at times for the Penguins trying to protect this 2-goal lead by attacking.
Adams just threw another bone cruncher to Chad LaRose, who stalks him all the way to the bench and then knocked him down from the blind side. The guys in the black sweaters were none too appreciative there. Eric Stahl with just over 6 minutes to go. Carolina at one point in this hockey game had a 3-2 first period lead. UC Jokinen will send it in. Walker arm in arm with Gill. Jokinen's pass blocked by Jordan Staal. Seidenberg, who has struck tonight, a wrister that was squelched. Jordan Staal going the other way. Cleaned out by the German-born defender. Walker guides it ahead for Pitkin, and he'll need to gamble now. Jokinen turned away by Eaton. Walker and Jokinen in tight quarters. Letang staving them off and sending Carolina into its own end. Joni Pitkin glides back for the touch-up. It's an icing call.
It's a big face-off here. If they're going to have any designs on coming back in this game, they got to turn this into something.
Jordan was able to dig it out against Eric. Volleyball to the corner by LaRose. Letang draws a bead on him. He'll switch it up. Tyler Kennedy golfs it on out. Ray Whitney, the Canes regular season point scoring leader, offering it for Eric Staal. Motoring in on a backhand, he sent it wide. Over 5 minutes to go now. Corvo's wrister did not get all the way through. This game at times has been played at a frantic pace. Crosby on the delay. Hits the brakes. Tracked down by Gleason. Joe Corvo will latch onto it for Carolina. 4:45 to go in this third period. 6-4 Penguins. Patrick Eaves tied it for the Canes early in the third, only to see Malkin go back-to-back to pick up his hat trick. Closing in here. One touch! Fleury makes a sparkling stop on Eric Cole. We're told by NHL's ice doctor Dan Craig they're keeping it at 58 degrees inside the Igloo, the old Mellon Arena, which has roared its approval time after time tonight. 6-4 Pittsburgh, trying to take a 2-0 lead in this best-of-7 Eastern Conference final exclusively on Versus. Seidenberg motors to it. Malkin feeds him to the glass. Chad LaRose, who has tallies in both games of this series. Ray Whitney closing in. Whitney winds and fires! That one may have caught a piece of the net on its way over the shoulder of Fleury.
I think it did. Pitkin set that up, the defenseman, by joining the attack. Occupy a little bit of space. Scuderi had to back off, and it opened up for that shot.
Corvo rambles his way back through center. Eric Cole was stacked up by Scuderi. That man always seems to be in the right spot, number 4 in the black jersey. Joni Pitkin throws it to the front. Backhand bid for Samsonov was deflected away. Sergei Samsonov darting into the corner. Tied up with Scuderi. Corvo offers back for Gleason. That was rejected, and the Penguins will work back through center. Ooh, Gleason tried to undercut Adams there in neutral ice. 3 minutes, 5 seconds to play in the third. Carolina needs 2 to tie. We'll keep our eyes peeled for Cam Ward, making a break for the Carolina bench. Gonchar under heat from Cullen. Walker driving in there just the same, and they are both sent away.
Well, they need that help right now from forwards coming back. Tough to hold the line if you're a defenseman for the Penguins against this speedy and tenacious Carolina forward set.
Even strength, 5-on-5. Walker. Last one right to the shin pads of Brooks Orpik. Offside against Carolina. Fleury, 23 stops in game 1, 24 unofficially tonight. You don't get a save or a shot that hits off the crossbar. Ward back on the bench. Empty net yawning for Tyler Kennedy. On to Jordan Staal. Backhands it wide of the goal. 6 skaters on there for Carolina. With 1:50 to go in the third. Kennedy, bullseye!
That's how you close it out. Another diligent long stick play by Jordan Staal. Watch him keep this one alive. Gets it past his brother. Patient little wrister into the net for Kennedy, who's gotten his looks. That checking line's been good for them tonight, too. What a wide open, wild affair at the Igloo tonight.
The 22-year-old Kennedy, Darryl, he scored against the Canes in the regular season finale between these two squads. Puts the cap on what is now a 3-goal advantage. Shatan blazing one wide of Ward. As the shooting gallery started early and often. Greg Adams sends one on through. Picked up by Patrick Eves. Floated back into space. Chris Letang there to cover up as we get the whistle here. An icing call against Carolina, but not without some fireworks.
Paul Maurice comes with that, what has turned into a fairly effective fourth line in this third period. Trying to get some measure at the end of this. And for the most part, it was a 3-line game. It's going to be a scrap. Gleason's in there.
And raining uppercuts.
On Letang, is it? Boy, Miro Shatan's in a fight.
And a good one.
It's that time of year.
Hurricanes letting the Pittsburgh Penguins know they'll be more than ready for Game 3 Saturday night at RBC Center, which comes your way exclusively on Versus. It'll be Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Final. Pittsburgh will go there with a 2-0 lead and with some bruising exchanged both ways.
Well, it's not a milquetoast series anymore. It was an icing, and the letter of the law is you don't take the body on an icing. And the aftermath of that was this Barbary with a $1:19 to go. I think the change of venue is going to help the Hurricanes. They're a team that feeds off of energy, and they're going to get some energy from that wild building down south.
Evgeny Malkin set all of this in motion, and earlier we mentioned that it had been a while between postseason hat tricks for the Penguins. How can we forget Sidney Crosby had one in round 2 against Washington the same night the Capitals top gunner Alex Ovechkin answered 3 with 3 of his own.
That second game magic has fallen flat for Ward and company here tonight. Dynamite out of a loss. He's been touched up in this one.
Number 44, Patrick Eves.
As Kunitz works the wall, Ryan Beta is the man who has assessed a 5-minute penalty, and now Mark Gillette is going to make sure he keeps things under wraps.
Right, Joe. It's combustible down there right now. The game is over. A 3-goal lead with a minute and change to go. There was going to be a minor and then a minor, and that's pretty textbook. Probably a cross-check and an elbow.
Darryl, the 5-minute major that went up on the board against Carolina's Ryan Beta, if we understand it correctly, was ruled a match penalty.
Is from the league in that one. They just want this thing to end right now, I think.
Chris Kunitz hovering in the corner.
Aaron and Pitkin are staring one another down.
That could be the next installment of Rock'em Sock'em Robots, although Pitkin turns away. The Penguins will have firm control over this Eastern Final as Cam Ward makes the stop with more harsh words exchanged.
The guys in stripes and orange armbands are just probably lobbying for running time right now. Oh, look at swashbuckling pinata. And Ken Ward says, if you guys are going to treat the puck as secondary, I better do my job in behind.
Brindamore to take the draw against Kunitz. The final 40 seconds of regulation time. Pittsburgh a man up after that match penalty was assessed to Beta for high sticking. Brindamore working over Kunitz with 18 seconds to go. The Pittsburgh Penguins, the number 4 seed in the East, second best in the Atlantic. The home ice advantage over the 6th seeded Hurricanes, and Pittsburgh has held serve. 2 wins, 4 days apart. This one in the books, 7-4.
Just no match for the depth down the middle of the Pittsburgh Penguins in this one. They'll have to re-rack, try to find an answer on their home ice to get back in this series.
Carolina 28, Pittsburgh
7-4 for the Penguins. For Daryl, for Chris, for all the men and women in our crew. Joe Beninati, thanks for your time. As we get you to Hockey Central on Versus, presented by Bud Light with Bill Patrick. All hail Evgeny Malkin.